How's everyone? Hey, let me get a quick update on how you're doing on names. How many names do you have so far? And you're in exactly where you should be. So if you have a low number of names, it's fine. If you have a high number of names, it's fine. You've got a lot of days. So give me let's start with Brady. How many names do you have so far?
I have about like 100. I think I have 100.
Okay. And would you say you've put in maximum effort, or is it like you've put in enough effort, but you really haven't crunched, you haven't dug deep yet?
I've tried with some friends, but I know I could do more. I'm gonna start texting some people that I've like sold to that are parents of my friends and stuff like that. See if they have any more names that they can give me.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to ask the same question of everyone. Jack, how about yourself?
I'm at about 120 right now, and I definitely think I could put in a lot more effort with that. There's a lot of people I can reach out to and get more names from, so I'm pretty confident I can get towards 200 by the push.
Awesome. Awesome. How about yourself, Tanner?
I have about 140. And I've been putting in quite a bit of effort in the past 2 days to get to 200 so far. So,
okay, cool. Cool. So you've made some progress in the last couple of days. Katie, how about yourself?
I am about 113. I just counted. So,
Okay.
and I do feel like I could put some more effort in, but other than that, I feel pretty good. I'm confident that I can get 200 today.
Awesome. Awesome. Isabel, how about yourself?
I just counted and I've got about like 110. So I've got to put some more effort into getting some names.
Okay, great. Great. Gerald, how about you?
I just created a directory of my neighborhood since I just moved here a couple months ago. So I got about 400 addresses. I'm getting names and numbers for right now.
Awesome. Awesome. Maddie, how about you?
I just put in about 130 into my app, and those were just recs I'd already had. And then I was using my mom's Facebook, but I could definitely be doing a lot more.
Okay, great. Great. Allison, how about you?
I have 89. I got some this weekend being around family, so I'm looking to go on my mom's Facebook and get some more this week.
Great. Octavia?
I've probably got about 50 right now, but I'm waiting on a call from my grandma with more.
Great. All right. Let's see here. Isabel, I'm not sure if I can help you. So you can't see anything. I don't know what to say. I'm not the person to ask on that. Kaylee, we're just sharing how you doing on names so far.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, didn't know if there was another Kaylee in here. I have about 140 right now, and then I could definitely still be doing more. So I want to keep working on that, especially this week.
Okay, excellent, excellent. And I think I've got it. Nick, so how about yourself? Sorry.
According to the app, I have 399, and I've got about another 150 in my notebook that I've been working on for the past week.
Okay, great. And Spencer?
I have about 140, and then I have, I think, another 20 to 25 in my notebook that I haven't put into the app yet.
Okay. Okay, cool. Cool. Well, let's see here. And then Henry, you're going to be speaking at 1. So if you want to stay on, obviously, I think it's great that you're on. Are you going to be pushing, Henry?
I'm trying to figure out what my goal is going to be right now.
Okay. Okay. How are you doing on names?
Realistically, I'm just going off all the names I still have in my app.
Okay. All right. And Kylie, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for
Good.
asking.
Nice to see you. And how are you doing on names so far?
I'm doing pretty good. I've gotten a couple of recommendations so far.
How many names do you have so far?
Right now about 30, 50. I don't know. I'm not quite sure.
That's all right. Did you just get started, Kylie?
Yes, I did.
Got you. Okay. Okay. That makes more sense then. And then Joseph, how are you?
Not doing really that great, but
oh, sorry to hear that.
I'm ready to learn stuff and give the future my all because I can't change the past.
This is true. This is true. Timmy, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. And you prefer Timmy, is it? I mean, I've been hearing your name is Timmy, so okay, great. And how are you doing on names so far for the push?
Names for the push. Not great, but have a bunch of demos this week. I have like 6 tomorrow, so hopefully I can get some up. I'm not going to be here. I'm on vacation for most of it, but there's a couple days where I will be in town. So
okay, cool.
Yeah.
And let's see, is it Carrie or Kari?
It's Carrie.
Carrie, okay. And how are you doing on names for the push so far?
I still only have about 60 names.
60 so far? Okay. And how hard have you worked on it?
Not very hard. I've been on vacation the past week.
All right. Makes sense then. And Sarah, how are you doing on names? How hard have you worked so far?
Sarah?
Yeah, Sarah, yep.
Yeah, I think I have a little under 200 names, maybe like around 150. But I mean, I have to go back to my mom because I know she has more that she hasn't told me. So.
All right, great.
Pretty
That's leading the pack here. And then Taylor, how about yourself? How are you doing? How are you doing on names so far? And how hard have you worked towards it?
I'm doing well. I just started like a week ago, so I'm still working through like the first 20 names that I've got.
Okay. All right. So you haven't really had a chance taking the time to like redo your names list, we'll call it, right?
No.
All right. And let's see, Lydia, how are you?
Hi, I'm good.
Good. And how are you doing on names for the push and how hard have you worked on it?
Honestly, I have not taken as much time as I should have so far, but I have recently been going through Facebook and trying to do, find old friends and get their numbers. And I'm probably looking about 50 right now, which is less than half my goal.
It's totally fine. It's totally fine. I started the meeting off by sharing that I'm going to go ahead and share with you the agenda. I started the meeting off saying, however many names you have right now, I would say is exactly where you need to be. How many of you are just traditionally speaking, you put things off until later? All right, well, you're probably doing that here, right? So, usually people aren't like, super, they put things off until later and then all of a sudden they change overnight, right? Usually that's not the case. So, you are exactly where you need to be. Like you're the type of person maybe that you kind of need the pressure to really perform, and that's okay. Others of you, I'm going to call it your initiative competency or skill set is very high. And so you're just like, you're on it because you kind of psych yourself up to like, I got to get this done now. If I don't get it done now, I'm going to fail. And you're exactly where you need to be. One of the things that I'd like to do is I'd like to just take a minute before we start, just to have everyone just crowdsource here and throw in the chat where you've gotten some names from. Okay, so just take a minute just to add, where you got some names from. There you go, Spencer, that's fantastic. And this is for you, right? This is not for me. Hopefully you're looking at this and you're saying to yourself, well, what, how does this apply to me? Okay, so holiday card list. It's a fantastic one. Ask mom and dad, one of the things I'll share with you is like, if you were to get married, who do you think you'd invite? I know that's maybe a hard question to think about, but that's a good frame to ask like mom and dad, like, hey, who do you think we'd invite to if I got married? Or maybe you have a sibling that got married, or maybe there's a cousin of yours that recently got married. So I'll give you an example. Like my wife's cousin is getting married this summer, and I can tell you all the people that will be there, and I'm not even part of that family, right? So those would be people I'd be thinking about, right? Grandma, right? People that anyone you've ever done business with, anyone that you've ever paid for anything with some regularity. So a dentist, a doctor, an family accountant, real estate agent. So there's anyone that you've ever, like mechanic, right? Those are people you for sure should do demos for. Anyone who ever coached you or taught you or was a tutor, or like, those are all really helpful people. They like helping people. Let's see here. What else? What else am I seeing here? Yeah, definitely a lot of HM30s use Facebook. It's nonstop. I shared with you last time. I can't tell you how many times I get a Facebook friend request from someone I went to college with or high school with. They just haven't talked to in 20 years. And then they show up on my feed also. It's like, you have this many mutual friends, you should friend this person, right? And I don't, but I could. My kids were selling Cutco, I'd be like, calling this guy, calling this girl, right? I just think it's probably, you just need to take time to do it. Okay. So let me go ahead and start. Again, the meeting started at 11:30. So maybe some of you were a little not clear on the time. So if you could always try to be here a couple of minutes early, that is always ideal. I do understand sometimes life happens, but if you could always be here earlier on the earlier end is always ideal. Let me start by just having you jot down a response to the following question. What are my values? So what are my values? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look up on the internet, and you can do this yourself if you want, like values. All right. So possible values that people have, right? So here's a list. All right. I'm going to read off. I'll just go ahead and screen. I'm not going to screen share. So I'm going to start at the beginning here. Accountability, accomplishments, authenticity. So some of these might resonate with you. So that's why I'm reading them off, right? And you can think on your own, obviously. Adventure, affection, beauty, belonging, balance, career, caring, consciousness, community, compassion, connection, challenge, commitment, consistency, communication, creativity, competition. Seems like I read that once before. Dependability, determination, discipline, diversity. That's the first column. I'm going to keep going here. Efficiency, empathy, enjoyment, enthusiasm, ethics, equality. So we're going through possible values, right? Exploration, or maybe this stimulates another idea. Fairness, faith, family, fidelity, fitness, focus, freedom, fun, generosity, generously, it says, goals, goodness, growth, hard work, health, helping others, honesty, hope, healing, honor, humility, independence, ideals, ingenuity, insight, intellect, intuition, joy, justice, leadership, love, loyalty, mastery, merit, money, nature, openness, order, optimism, opportunity, purpose, preparation, prudence, reliability, restraint, respect, resourcefulness, resilience, satisfaction, I'm almost done, security, self-actualization, selflessness, service, serenity, stability, spontaneity, strength, teamwork, truth, temperance. Curious if anyone wrote down temperance. Thankfulness, thoughtfulness, tolerance, tradition, trust, 4 more words, understanding, uniqueness, vision, and vitality. Okay. So I wanted you to think about what are my values as you are about to endeavor this push. I was explaining to someone yesterday, I was like, we're about to have a really busy time of year. And then they started guessing why. They're like, oh, probably because people cook a lot more. And I'm like, well, yes, more families, more people are home from the family, so they probably cook a little bit more. I do think that people kind of cook a little bit more when it's nicer out. Maybe they're a little bit in the Midwest for sure. Midwest, I include the Northern Rockies, by the way. Just we're not on the coast, we'll call it, right? I would say that people tend to barbecue and socialize a little bit more. So, maybe people cook a little bit more. But I said, the main reason why we sell more Cutco is we're about to do this thing called a push. And she's like, what's a push? And I go, that we work with a bunch of college students. We don't only work with college students. I think, our top representatives are not college students, people like Mike Dowd, et cetera. And I said, well, this is a time of year when people really push themselves to maximize the experience and the job and to get the most out of the job. And she said, oh, well, that sounds like a lot of fun. And I go, I think it is a lot of fun. I go, what's really cool is I think that a lot of people love the position because they learn a lot, they grow, they develop skills that are going to be important for the rest of their life. When I think about what is your dream job, you've probably been asked this before by your manager, think about how does the push help develop some skills for what you want in that dream job, or maybe even getting that dream job. Right. So I had someone once say to me, they want to be a sports agent. And I was like, well, that's a really hard job to get, right? There's not a lot of professional athletes and there's already a lot of established athletes. So pushing, it's going to really help you develop the tenacity and the strength to persevere through adversity. And so just be thinking about like, how's the push going to help me? And then measure that against your values. How is the push really going to accentuate and help me lean into my values? All right, so hopefully you had a chance to think about that a bit. All right, Gerald, thanks for throwing in a personal values assessment. You're always adding value. I would imagine that one of your values, Gerald, is service to others, adding value, something like that, right? And so, you can think about how would Gerald, exemplify that? Well, doing a lot of Cutco demos, he's helping people invest in a product that is going to add value to their life. So that's the value, right? For some of you, maybe it's money or maybe it's competition, right? You want to lean into, oh, this is what I'm going to get out of it, right? Or maybe there's a value that you have that's a little bit deficient, right? In other words, you're not getting let's presume it was like a vitamin, right? You're not getting that enough of that exposure to that value. So I want you to think about that. What I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to transition here into thinking about, and this is what I'm getting at overall is, why am I pushing? All right. So why am I going to do this thing, right? Why am I going to make a bunch of phone calls and, do a lot of Cutco appointments, right? I'd like you to come up with at least one reason and then ask yourself, well, why? So let's say you said, well, actually, let's role play this with someone. Does anyone have a reason why they're pushing? All right, let's go with Corbin. Great. What's the reason why you're pushing, Corbin?
To just better myself and know whatever I do, I do to the best of my ability. And I just overall want to become a better person and see how far I can come.
Okay, so just hear me out here, and I want you to do this with yourself. Why do you want to do that? It's not a bad thing. I'm just asking you why, right?
Oh, just why do I want to do it? I think just knowing how I used to be and know how far I've become, I look forward towards the future and see how much further and better I can be towards the future as well.
And so why do you want to do that?
To just I always say this, to give my grandkids the life that I wish I could have had. So.
And why do you want to do that?
I don't know. My past is a little, I wouldn't wish my past on anybody. So I really just I love helping others and just giving everybody the best me I can give them. And overall, just think I want to do that just because to prove to myself that I can do anything I set my mind to.
And I'm going to ask you one more time, at the risk of being a little annoying. I'm doing it again as a demonstration. Why do you want to do that then?
I don't think I have an answer to that one. You kind of stumped me right there. But overall, just being the best self I guess you can put it, the best me I can possibly be. If that's the outcome I want for from this push.
And why does that matter to you?
Because, like I said, it'll really push me towards my goals, and it'll allow me to be a better person overall, not just for Cutco, but future me kind of thing as well.
So here's what I'm hearing. What I'm hearing, Corbin, correct me if I'm wrong, is it's really going to tap into the true essence of who you are. And it's really going to leverage you for a future for you, your kids, their kids, that is, you want to play a role in that. And you're using this push as a lever to kind of catapult you, and everyone that I'm going to call it love, that you even don't know about yet because you don't have the kids, right? But you know that you love them that much that you want to create this great experience because you had some challenge, pain, I'm going to say, and you don't want that for anyone else. That's really beautiful. And so that's the value in asking yourself, when you say, why am I pushing? Think of anything you write down. You might have 4 to 5 reasons why you're pushing. Just ask yourself, well, why? And why is that important? Does everyone get that? So I'd like you to take just a couple more minutes just to write down any other reasons why you think you're pushing. So there's a guy, he's a motivational speaker. He's coached Olympic athletes and even presidents and a variety of people in a variety of industries. His name's Tony Robbins. And he talks about how as humans, we have 6 human needs. We have the need for certainty, right? You can imagine how if, we were living, I watched this show called Alone. I don't know if any of you've seen it. They put these 10 people in the Arctic Circle and they have to fend for themselves, right? There's a lot of uncertainty there. And for a lot of people, like having some certainty of like, hey, this is where I live, this is my home, this is my family, right? These are the people that I know, my tribe, et cetera. Like that's a need that people have. Other people, a predominant need that they have is variety, right? So think of people that, and we all exemplify all these needs, by the way. So variety for me is, I like eating Mexican one day, Italian the next day, Japanese food the next day. So sushi, right? So I like variety in my food. But I've worked with our company for 29 years. So I don't feel like I need variety at work per se of a company, but I work with so many different people. So I get variety that way. Does everyone get that? So you got to think about like, what are the human needs that matter to me most? Is it certainty? Is it variety? Is it significance, right? Significance is like, think about like, maybe it's accomplishment, but can also be just like, hey, I like being, the top dog or, so to speak, right? For other people, it's love and connection, right? The relationships are really, really important to them. And again, you probably, as I'm going through these, you can say, well, in this area of my life, this matters a little bit more. In this area of my life, this matters a little bit more, et cetera. And what he talks about is that the final 2 human needs are needs of the spirit. In other words, these are the most fulfilling needs. And those being growing, right, or growth, and then contribution, in other words, adding value to others. And so this is another frame to look at, why am I pushing? Am I pushing for, the significance? Am I pushing to the relationships? Am I pushing myself to grow? Am I pushing myself to contribute? Okay, so those those are things that I want you to think about. And one of the things that I think is really important is that you keep this front and center. Okay. Because anytime that you do something, anytime that I do something that is of significance, there's always a lot of adversity. So whether that's in my life, whether that's being a dad, whether that's being a husband, whether that's running a business, I'm on the board of our kids' school. Like, there's a lot of different, areas in my life where, I got to be really clear with, like, why am I doing this? And what's the outcome that I'm after here? Because there's always adversity. All right. And so what's gonna move what moves people through adversity is their vision for why they're doing what they're doing. And I've shared this with you, some of you before. How many of you would run across a highway where the cars are driving at 70 miles an hour? Would anyone do that? All right, well, what if like the person that you care about the most in this world were blindfolded and they were walking across the expressway? Would you run across the highway to save them? Well, heck yeah, you would, right? You would run across and you would do everything you can to save them. So I think you understand, right? When the value is there, we will do whatever we need to get that done. And that's one of the reasons why, to me, when I've watched people push over the years successfully, the predominant thing that matters most, if people ask me, like, what matters most in a push, it's the following. Number one is that you have some whys that have some weight to them. And that's one of the reasons I had you think about, what are my values and why am I pushing, and what are the human values and what are the things I can gain. Number two, it's like the resources, right? So yeah, you have to have enough names, right? So look, what I can tell you is, if you have more names, it's going to be easier. And I know some of you want to shortcut this, because every group of humans, I'm reading a book called Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. He's a sociologist and psychologist. I forget what his actual title is, but he talked about how basically humans like to do the path of least resistance. Like, that's just how we're wired. Doesn't make us good or bad. That's what we are, right? And so what a lot of people want to do is they want to take the shortcut. And the shortcut would be just like somehow getting names. And what I'm going to tell you is that the best names that you can get are people who have a clue who you are. So if you were to ask me, would I rather have you have 60 people that you know, or 120 recommendations of people that you don't know? I would take the 60 names that you know. Why? Because they're going to say yes to an appointment with a much higher frequency. So that's why you're either going to push hard on the front end in preparation or the back end. And my advice to you is make a decision that you're going to have no less than 200 names and numbers. And if you fall short and you end up at 187, well, you end up at 187, right? What I can tell you is, if you have 200 names and numbers, ladies and gentlemen, it is a slam dunk that you're going to sell 12.5. It is not a like you might, it's not a maybe it'll happen. It is a slam dunk. Now, could you do it with 60 names and numbers? Yeah, you could. And I need you to know that. I had a representative, he did 30 appointments during the SC2 push, and he sold 30,000. He went 30 for 30, sold 30,000. He had a $1,000 average order. So look, can you do it on less than 200 names? Yeah, totally. So don't get discouraged and don't quit before you start. If you're like, I don't think I can come up with 200 names. The second thing is, you kind of need to booby trap yourself at times and just act as if, like, let's say I had a gun to your head and I said, you got to come up with 200 names of people that you know. How many of you do you think you'd get it done by Saturday? Right? Of course you would, right? What if I said to you the flip side, right? So people operate through people are motivated by pain or pleasure. So I'm going to give you the flip side. What if I told you, I'm going to give you $1 million if you have it by Saturday. How many of you would get it done by Saturday? Of course I would, right? So just kind of trick yourself into saying like, hey, I'm going to be closer to making $1 million, and you will. You'll be closer to making $1 million by pushing. Okay, so I want you to think it through that way. That's the first key, because if you have enough names and numbers, you're going to never worry about running out of names. Is it going to be easy to come up with 200 names and numbers? No, you're going to have to put in effort. How many of you would agree that, yeah, I kind of, half-assed the effort? I put in some, but I really haven't busted my butt to do it. Who wants to be honest? Great. And that's great. Like, thank you for being honest, right? Who has kind of busted their butt to come up with names? Anyone? Okay, great. And Gerald, how many do you have? You have 400, right? So you get, does everyone understand? Like, you're either going to pay on the front end or the back end. If you pay on the back end, you're going to call those numbers. Like, if you have 50 names, you're going to call those 50 names probably every day. And you're going to feel sucky calling the same 50 names 17 days in a row. I'm just going to tell you that, right? If you have 200 names, you're not even going to get through the 200 names, because you're going to have so many appointments, and then they're going to get more recommendations from that, and it's going to be that much easier. Does everyone understand that? Casey, what's the most number of names you've ever called in a day? Casey's the best representative on this call.
200.
Yeah. How did you feel at the end of the day?
I felt amazing.
Right. How many appointments did you have?
20.
Right. How many of you would feel pretty darn good if I lined up 20 appointments for you in the next week? Right? You'd be like, all right, right? You'd be waking up at 5 a.m, like, let's do this, right? Our son got NHL 21 on whatever, Xbox or something like that. He downloaded it last night. I think he likes hockey. And man, he woke up super early before camp today. Like, he's like, Mommy, can I play? And we were just like, no, you've got to wait. We told him this last night, but he thought he was going to convince us. He's a natural salesperson. But yeah, you're going to feel great, right? Casey, how many people said no to you on the phone that day?
I think like a good, like 5 maybe.
Yeah, right. So some of you will have a lot of people say no, right? And what's great is if 100 people say no to you on the phone and you call 200, because what does that mean? It means you'll have 100 appointments, right? Well, technically you probably won't. You'll have like 50, and the other 50 you didn't reach them, right? But over the course of a full day of like 9 to 9 phoning, you're going to be tired, right? And if you have only 50 names, you're going to call those names probably every 2 hours. And you're going to feel like, I don't want to do this, right? Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing you need is a good schedule. And Mike King is going to lay out the schedule that you need to follow. And it is reminiscent of what I told you last week. Phone 3 Sundays in a row, phone every morning. The 3 Sundays kind of fill in like the big foundation pillars of the week. And then the phoning every day fills in like the crevices. And then phone in between appointments, right? So during a push, the way I think about it is like you're either like on the phone, on a demo, maybe in the office, or maybe you're like exercising, or maybe there's like a family birthday, right? There's something special, right? You're not just like chilling out at home watching Netflix. Maybe you have another job, right? That can also do, during a push. What's the most appointments you can do in a day? So let's say someone's like, I only have 3 days to push. Well, you could do 10 appointments a day. Casey, would you agree you could do 10 appointments a day? Casey, did you do that basically?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're like, I only have 3 days. Okay, great. You can do 30 appointments. Okay. The other thing is you need the skills, right? You need the skills to succeed. So we're gonna walk you through, like, what at the end of the day, it's kind of like in the game of basketball, like there's only a couple skills you really need. Like, you need to know how to pass, you need to know how to shoot, you need to know how to shoot a free throw, and you need to know how to defend. right? It doesn't mean that we could all be NBA players, but like at the end of the day, like that is what most practices in any basketball, whether it's Pee Wee basketball or NBA, they revolve around that. And what do you need to be successful as a Cutco rep? You need to be able to do a like list, right? You need to be able to sell sets. And you need to be able to adjust to who I'm selling to, right? For some people, selling a set, that's the perfect, option for them, right? For other people, it's like a 3-piece like list. For other people, it's like 1 piece. Okay, but you got to make sure that you sell what that person it was best for them to get. Here's the last thing it takes, then I'm going to turn things over to Lindsay. The last thing it takes to have a really good push is that you commit. What I can tell you is if you don't commit, you're not going to have a good push. And that's one of those life lessons. Like if you commit to being a good student, you're going to be a good student. If you commit to being a good husband or wife, you're going to be a good husband or wife. If you commit to being a good dad, or mom, you're going to be that, because it's called your autonomic reticulator. You're going to look for, and your brain always moves to completion. So you're going to look for areas and opportunities for you to succeed at that. Okay. So if you say, I'm going to, no matter what, sell 10,000 or 12,500 or 15 or $55,000 of Cutco, like you're going to work until you hit it. And the truth is, you don't make one commitment, you make multiple commitments every single day. So you commit to, well, I'm going to phone now because I don't have the appointments I want. Does that make sense? And then you build that commitment muscle and you'll think of yourself differently. I can promise you this. For the rest of your life, you'll think of yourself differently. You'll say, I'm the type of person that gets stuff done. I'm the type of person that does the impossible that other people think is impossible. Right? How many of you right now are wondering, like, can I come up with 200 names and numbers? Right? Great. That's the very first thing that you need to knock off. Right? You need to beat that one down, right? I can't think of a good analogy. Like you need to knock that one off and just go like, I can do this. Because if you can do that, it's going to build confidence. So work really hard to get that done. And my advice to you is do it in the next 24 hours. Stop telling yourself you have more time. Just get it done and you're going to feel so much better. Right? It's just like during finals week. Who during finals week is always stressed out, right? And because you're not studying, right? You know what happens when you're studying? You don't have time to stress out because you're focused on the thing that you're supposed to be doing. But when you're not studying, that's when stress is high. And it's just like that selling Cutco. When you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, you get stressed about it.